What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be giving you the answer. Is UFC 306, or known as UFC Noche, worth your money? Because as I always say, these pay-per-views, they're 80 bucks. That is not cheap. And when you want to spend 80 bucks, you want to get the right quality content for it. And that's what we're going to get into here. So, starting at the beginning of this card with the two fights that really sent the MMA community, especially on Twitter, into a frenzy. When people saw that you had Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Obi Osborne and Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban, I think Ribavax, I think that's his name, people were pretty pissed about it. And I kind of get it. You know, these aren't ranked guys, even though I do think they're very good fighters. They're not like, you're not getting, this isn't like you're getting Mateusz Gamrot fighting or Dan Hooker, or, stuff like that. So I get people's issues with it. But I also think, and I've mentioned this before, a lot of the issues with this card is because Dana White hyped it up so much and everyone just eats up everything that Daddy Dana says without actually looking at the Dana's record, that he hypes stuff up way too much all the time. This is nothing new. If you know Dana, you know this is just what he does. So I wasn't surprised when I saw that the card wasn't like, I think the main card's actually fantastic, to be honest, but people were saying that they were going to have Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway main event, O'Malley, Merab co-main. I mean, anyone who thought that actually was going to happen, I wish it happened, obviously, but everyone who thought that was actually going to happen, you're out of your goddamn mind. You're out of your mind if you thought Dana White was going to do that. No way. But into the card, we start off with the first one, Ronaldo Rodriguez, Obi Osborne, and then, you got Zellhuber versus Ribavax. These are entertaining fight guys. I know they're not the most well-known names, but these are some solid prospects, guys who actually have a legit future in the UFC. Ribavax wants to go take off your head. Osborne's an entertaining fighter. These are entertaining fights. And I know maybe they're not, full, both of them maybe shouldn't be on the pay-per-view, but I think when you look up the real, meat and potatoes of the card, I guess you could say, because it is a little top heavy in terms of, I'd say, name value and ranking, I guess you want to put, even though I don't think rankings matter, but you get my point. And you get to this featured fight, Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. I'm so happy this fight got rebooked, because when this fight got announced for UFC 303, when that card, got completely shuffled around, I hated it. I hate short notice fights. For anyone who's new to the channel, I hate short notice fights. I despise them because there's built-in excuses. There's asterisks, next to wins. I hate them. Now we're getting Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez on full camps for both gentlemen, and it's going to be fantastic. This is a great fight. I love fights when you throw a prospect. I don't even want to call Diego Lopez a prospect because I feel he's proven he's more than that. But, a guy who's, let's say, number 11 to a dude who's been in the top 5 for a while, and that's what this fight is, and I love it. This fight has massive implications on the featherweight division. If Brian Ortega wins, I don't think he's gonna get a title shot because he's gotten destroyed in both title shots. And, you got Max Holloway fighting in October, and then you're going to have to give Volkanovski his rematch. You just have to. So, I think he's even spoken about how he wants to go up to lightweight or something, maybe. I don't know if I would do that, because, imagine they gave him, Charles Oliveira. I think Ortega gets absolutely fucked up. But regardless, Ortega beats Diego Lopez. He's in a really good position. But most importantly, and the one who has the most to gain from this fight is Diego Lopez. If Diego Lopez goes out there, beats Ortega, he could be in line for a title shot. If he starches Ortega, he's probably going to fight for the title next. At bare minimum, he's one fight away. Maybe they give him the winner of Aljamain Sterling Mosso. I would love to see a Lopez versus Mosso Evelev rematch, by the way. That would be fantastic. I would love that. That's a banger of a fight, guys, right there. So this fight has massive implications on the featherweight division. I can't think of a better featured fight right here in the featherweight division. That's not a title fight, obviously. This is unbelievable matchmaking. I love fights where you test a guy like Diego Lopez. And I think people are somewhat underestimating Brian Ortega in this fight. You look at Diego Lopez. I know, I was ultra short notice versus Dan Ige. And so I don't really want to look at it too much at all because, as I said, I hate short notice fights. But, man, if that was a 5-round fight, Dan Ige would have beat him. Diego Lopez was so gassed out in that fight. Dan Ige would have beat him. I think finished him with those 5 rounds. But I don't think that was Diego Lopez at his best. But I do think this fight could really go either way. I'm probably leaning Lopez and stuff like that. I could see Lopez just TKOing Brian Ortega. I think Lopez is a lot better on the feet. I think his gas tank's going to be way better on a full camp. But hey, man, I counted out Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. And, after, the first couple minutes, kind of first round, I mean, Brian Ortega fucked up Yair Rodriguez. So great featured fight. Moving on to the co-main event. People are going to shout on this because it's a women's fight, and I get it. Even just like a really good lightweight fight would be probably better than this in a way. But I think this is a really good, solid women's co-main event. I think Alexa Grasso is a pretty entertaining fighter. I think Shevchenko, one of the legends of the game for women's MMA. I think she's a decently entertained fighter. And, it's a trilogy fight. There's a lot on the line. And, each one can really make a statement with a win here. So I really like this co-main event. I know I don't sound super enthusiastic about it because I'm kind of saving that all for the main event. But this is a really good fight, guys. And I don't think, I know it's a women's co-main event. There's definitely better options. But, guys, you got to have a Grasso on, the Noche card, Mexican Independence Day. And I think this fight, every time these two have fought, their last two fights I thought have been thoroughly entertaining. I thought they've been really entertaining. And I think it's a co-main event. I have nothing really to complain about. I think it's a really, really, really solid co-main event, especially when you have a featured fight like that. And I know, everyone might not know the first two fights on the card, but those are good fights right there. Those are going to be very entertaining fights. So you have two very entertaining fights opening up the card. You got a banger, absolute 10 out of 10 featured fight, and you have a really, really solid co-main event. I think that's pretty good. And but guys, at the end of the day, there's one real reason that I think really drives this card forward, other than all the positive I've talked about, even with some of the negatives. This main event, Sean O'Malley, defending the bantamweight title against Merab Dvalishvili. What a fucking main event, guys. And I always say this, but it's good to have the rightful number one contender fighting for the belt. Too many times we have to go see Martin Vera waste the pay-per-view main event because he doesn't belong there. Or Colby Bummington with his ass. He's probably, who knows when he's going to fight next. It's just good to have the rightful guy in Merab on 11-fight win streak, coming off dominating outside the first round, dominating Cejudo, dominating Peter Yan, beating Jose Aldo, winning, I think, 8 fights before that against good competition. You have Sean O'Malley, destroy Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera is kind of a can, honestly. He's not, I don't think he's even a borderline top 15 guy. Love Cheeto, borderline top 15 guy. O'Malley's coming off the destruction of Vera. He's, knocked out Aljamain Sterling, even though I got issues with that win and stuff because of the UFC, how they forced Aljo back. Still a great win. And, even though O'Malley lost the Peter Yan fight, don't care if that's a win, he lost that. That was a really entertaining fight, and O'Malley looked good in that fight. So, this is just a fantastic fight. It's a great, just ultra hyper pressure wrestler in Merab versus just debatably the best striker in the entire UFC with unbelievable power and speed and precision and accuracy, everything. When it comes to striking, what does O'Malley not have? And the fact that, he's tall for the weight class. He has good reach. It's just, he's got everything to be elite striker, especially at bantamweight. So this is such a compelling matchup. And another reason why it's so compelling is because if O'Malley wants to be the pay-per-view draw that I think, that a lot of fans think he is, even though he's not, because most of his fan base are just illegally streaming the shit. But, O'Malley, a knockout win over Merab would do wonders for him to really take that next step into being an actual kind of solid pay-per-view draw. Listen, I don't know when O'Malley's going to be a legit, big, massive pay-per-view draw, but a knockout win over Merab could really get him right in that kind of solid, pay-per-view draw space right there. And that would be huge for him because, the UFC kind of hype him up that he's already a star. I don't think that's the case at all, and I think the numbers back me up on that. But he has the potential to do it, even though he's a little bland on the mic. I love how O'Malley's been on, in interviews recently and stuff. I think he's actually been more like himself. He's been a lot more funny. And it's just his fighting style is built to be, a drawing force in the UFC. And a knockout win over Merab, he does that. Let's say he beats Umar Nurmagomedov, man. Dan O'Malley's right there. He knocks out both of them. Can you imagine? Danny's right there. So this is a huge fight for both of these guys' legacy, but in a way even more for O'Malley because not only because he, hyped up for so long in his career, he's the champion. A win over Merab really solidifies his resume because Peter Yan, he didn't win that fight. Aljamain Sterling, the UFC tried to borderline rig that fight. Not borderline. I'm going to say they tried to rig that fight. And, it was kind of successful. And then Marlon Vera, I don't even think he's not even an elite bantamweight. Not even top 15 in a way, honestly. I think Payne Talbot beats him. Anyone beats him, honestly. So, Marlon Vera has no output. So, this win would really solidify Sean O'Malley's resume and his legacy, and he needs this win. And obviously, Merab needs this win if he ever wants to be champion. So this is an unbelievable main event. But if we want to get to ratings, before I give my rating for this, I want you guys to know my ratings are very, very, very strict. A 6 out of 10 rating, a 7 out of 10 rating, even a 5.5 out of 10 rating is not necessarily a bad rating. I'm not trying to, just hand out 7s and 8s and 9s because, when you look at a card like UFC 308, that's a legitimate 9 right there. Other cards who are really good, I don't think are at that level yet, but I'm very strict rater. So keep in mind, I'm a very strict rater when I say this stuff. But if I have to give this a rating, if I have to answer, is this card worth your money? I'm going to give this card a 6 out of 10. I believe that's the ranking I gave UFC 305. And the reason why, I do think the UFC 305 card overall is a little more stacked. But, when you look at the fights, Rosenstrike versus Tai, Tuivasa, is that much better? Is that better than Zellhuber versus Ribavox? Is that better than Rodriguez Osborne? Is it really better? I don't really think so. Ortega Lopez, Dan Hooker Gamrot was an insane fight. That was an amazing fight. But I think Ortega, at least on paper, I think Ortega Lopez is just as good a fight as that, if not better. Is Urseg Kai Kara France? I know that ended in a crazy finish. Yeah, do I think it's better than Grasso Shevchenko? Probably, yeah. But is it that much better? Is it just ridiculously better? I don't think so. And, Dricus Adesanya is one of my most anticipated middleweight event, not middleweight, just fights ever, because I love Dricus. I'm a big Dricus guy. I've been a fan of him before the rankings and before he was ever in the rankings. So that fight was, had a kind of special place in my heart, but this fight does too. This is, on paper, this is a better main event, because Merab's a way more deserving number 1 contender than Israel Adesanya. And, before someone's like, oh, you said Israel Adesanya, deserved that fight. It's not that he deserved. It's not that he deserved it or not. It's that there were no clear-cut number 1 contenders in the middleweight division. So it just made sense for Israel Adesanya to fight for the title. It just made sense, and it was a fight that I think, me personally, I really want to see. I think I needed to see a conclusive end to the Adesanya era, and that's what we got. So I love that main event, but this main event on paper is better. This main event, if you're a big UFC fan, this card's worth your money. You get the experience, the new Sphere kind of aspect, even though I think it might be a letdown on, the broadcast. You get the experience, though. You get one of the best, debatably the best main event of the year, amazing main event with a rightful number 1 contender versus amazing, I don't want to say amazing champion because, I guess he has a title defense, but I don't even want to count that as a title defense. That was a lamp right there. But an elite level striker, super entertaining champion in Sean O'Malley versus one of the most, deserving best number 1 contenders the sport has right now. You get a solid co-main event. You get a banger of a featured fight. You get 2 fights that you might not know about these guys that much, but these are going to be good fights, guys. I'm telling you, watching these fights, you're going to be like, oh, I can see why they're on the main card. So I'm giving this card a 6 out of 10. And I'm saying it's worth your money because that main event is fucking spectacular. And 6 out of 10, I'm a very strict rater. 6 out of 10, I gave UFC 305 a 6 out of 10. So that's a very, very solid rating right there. So keep in mind, I'm a strict rater because I know 6s don't sound very good, but just keep that in mind, guys. But let me know what you'd give this card out of 10. Let me know if you think it's worth the money, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me. And, I get it. I get it. If someone saw this card, it's like, yeah, no, I don't like the first 2 fights. I don't like the co-main event. It's not worth it. I respect it. I get it. $80 is a lot of money, guys. So I completely understand that. But, make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts about my opinions on this, and give me your own opinions in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.